Welcome to the Egg Whisperer Show, a podcast exclusively designed to create more reproductive health awareness and discuss your fertility preservation options. Here is your host, the Harvard-educated fertility specialist, Dr. Amy.
Welcome to the Egg Whisperer Show. I am so excited to have Dr. Angie Beltsos on today's show. Hi, Angie.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Me too. The title of today's show is New Technology in Egg and Embryo Freezing with Dr. Angie Beltsos. And you can imagine if there's something that's new in the field of IVF medicine, she's going to have researched it. She's going to know everything about it. And if it's something that's worth our time, she's going to be talking about it. She'll be on the news about it. And I'm so excited that she's here bringing us more information about it. So thank you again.
So excited to kind of dive deep into some of the new technologies that are coming our way.
So I want to start by sharing with everyone your bio, because everyone just needs to know how amazing you are. You're not just a medical doctor, but you're also a mom and board certified in OBGYN and in reproductive endocrinology and infertility. You completed your residency in OBGYN at Loyola University, followed by a fellowship in reproductive endocrinology and infertility at Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri, followed by a fellowship in REI at Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri, and then also the Clinical Research Division Director of Vios, and you participate in a number of research projects and scientific publications. As the REI Division Education Director for OBGYN residency programs of Illinois Masonic Medical Center, Lutheran General Hospital, and St. Joseph's Hospital, Chicago, Dr. Beltsos helps educate future OBGYN doctors. Amazing. She's a clinical assistant professor for the Department of OBGYN at University of Illinois at Chicago. Wow. Angie, welcome.
Thanks for having me again. I think this is so awesome that you have these podcasts and educating the world.
Yeah. And our audience loves to have a front row seat to learn about the latest technology in reproductive medicine. Before we get to what you're doing at Vios, tell us about yourself.
I am originally from Michigan, born and raised there, and came to Chicago after I finished my training. I spend a lot of time, as we all do, with our work and very excited to help my patients. And when I'm not doing that, I have 4 children. They all play hockey. So always running to one rink or another, as they are growing and moving to go to school outside of Chicago. We're now just with the little one and the second to little one. I love to cook and try new recipes and also work out whenever I can.
What drew you to fertility as a medical specialty?
As a OBGYN doctor, we do have the privilege of being there when a baby is born, and delivering babies was really quite a cool experience. And when I was a medical student, I walked by this door and it said IVF lab. And I was like, oh my gosh, could you imagine being there when that egg and sperm come together for the first time? And so I think being able to help build families and also use medicine and deep thinking along with advanced reproductive technologies makes this field, I think, unique and really fun as one of the providers of care.
I agree. What do you find the most rewarding with your job?
The most rewarding thing, and there are many, is that positive pregnancy test, and that leads to a baby. And it's so awesome. And you and I both know those moments where someone's really been in this marathon and up and down with the process and close to giving up. And I think when they're close to that 1 yard line and you can cross that line to touchdown and you create a child, but you also create a grandchild and a sibling and a neighbor. And it's just all the lives that are touched by this, by the families we create, I think is very humbling.
Yeah, and it's clearly not just a job for either one of us. So I shouldn't have used job. It's really our life's passion and work. Our heart beats for our patients each and every day. You're based out of Chicago, and you're the first fertility clinic to be offering TMRW Life Sciences in your practice. Can you tell us what TMRW does?
TMRW is a cryo robot, and it's also considered a platform. In short, though, it's where we store the eggs and embryos. So traditionally, we keep them in what's called a dewar. And it's like a little freezer that keeps these cells very, very safe. Today, though, we've been asking ourselves, how do we do this better? We're doing a good job, but how can we be even better? And so the Tomorrow Cryo robot changes, I think, the standard of care for keeping these cells frozen.
And how does it do that? How does it exactly work?
So I'm going to remind you, it looks like almost like one of those vending machines where you put in your request for maybe a soda or something. Here you plug in a patient's information, and this robotic arm will move into the tank and pick up a beacon. The beacon actually has an RFID code. So RFID codes are all over the world. We use them a lot. So for example, you might have an RFID code on your car when you go through the toll booth. They're also on expensive clothes where they remove that little RFID code before you can take it home. This beacon allows for us to track the safety of the egg or the embryo that's stored in this little straw. So you can continuously monitor that particular beacon 24/7, its temperature, its position. There are 17,000 data points that kind of are constantly emitted from this to recognize patterns and know that everything is safe constantly and monitored.
Wow. And how is that different from what you were doing before?
What we do in IVF clinics all over the world is we've been able to monitor our tanks using outside monitors, sometimes some things inside. There are liquids that help keep things cold. And we pour liquid nitrogen, which is what keeps it cold, into a tank. But there's a lot of manual labor that goes into that. This allows automation, technology to monitor these things that we were writing with hand labels and watching things with devices that are really good, and they've kept things very safe, but this is even better.
And do you think that with this technology, more and more people, I mean, a lot of people are doing IVF, egg freezing, and embryo freezing. Do you predict that maybe more people will do it now, hearing about this technology? Because I think a lot of people have that fear that maybe a tank's going to fail or things aren't going to be tracked very well for them to be comfortable with doing fertility treatment.
So I think, Amy, there are a lot of questions that you just brought up. Number one is making sure that where your cells are, your egg or embryo, that they're safe in the clinic that you have them in. And this will transform the standard in which we as scientists and medical doctors manage our tanks, because it'll give us a lot more information on a moment-to-moment change. And so it will be, I think, as this rolls out, will really be so helpful. And the number one thing here is safety, because we don't want anything to fall off our radar where a tank could warm and lose that tissue, as it did in some of the tragic situations in the last few years. But I think that the way that we have to involve you and me in this is to use scientists, use technology and artificial intelligence in a way that is unique. So I think what we'll find, and I was saying, it reminds me, we got a new car and all the bells and whistles and cameras that turn on and off and lights. So that type of proactive management to avoid problems is sort of the mindset of Tomorrow Life Sciences.
Yeah, I mean, I just think of this is revolutionary. I mean, those are the kinds of words that I'm thinking of as you're describing the technology and how it can help people, and to monitor their eggs and embryos and sperm, the most precious cells to us.
Most precious cells.
The most precious. So, I mean, what you're saying sounds really awesome. I mean, as a doctor and then as a patient, and I wonder, is there some sort of, I bet there is, and you're going to tell us about it, a monitoring system for the patient to actually see what's going on with their eggs, embryos, or sperm?
So due to all these detecting systems that reside within the tank, what you have is constant data that's coming through. And so as the doctor or the scientist, we monitor all of that. And what will be coming is an app for the patient as well. So on your phone, just like you can monitor who's at your front door if the doorbell rings or if you turn on your location, that type of monitoring will be available so you'll know that your beacon is safe.
Wow. And what have your patients thought of this new service?
I think that people take this for granted, that even our friends or colleagues, they're like, well, of course it's safe. And by the way, where are these cells? Where do you keep them? Are they in your office? I think people don't realize that the cryorepository world where cells are kept, whether it be our embryos from our patients and even cells from the government tracks cells for cancer cells and research, all of these cells are very, very important. Bone marrow, these are kept in similar tanks. And so I think what we're going to see is really disruptive. Think about a taxi and an Uber or Lyft. It has become really changes the complete interaction of being moved from one location to another. Similarly, this now will change how we keep our cells stored and making sure, importantly, that the supervision of that information is incredible.
Yeah, I agree. It sounds incredible.
You also brought up something really interesting, Amy, which is vitrification. And, a lot of people don't realize that the latest technology in being able to freeze something and let it come out and thaw and be as good as it was as a fresh cell. That's really transformed, I think, what services we've been able to offer our patients. And we think about in the next century, over 300 million people will be born from IVF. That's like the whole United States. That's a lot of people, a lot of children from this technology.
Yeah. And then tell us about your clinics. I know you guys are expanding and in all sorts, in different states, like in Michigan. So tell us about all your satellites.
Well, that is one of those things that you and I have been working on. Our career is just to be able to help patients, not only the people that are in our own community or neighborhood, but I think with social media and being able to expand, it's been really great to be in different parts of the Midwest and in the country. So our current locations include Chicago, St. Louis, Milwaukee. The Pacific Northwest will be opened in May, and Michigan will start in the summer. So I think those are really great opportunities to really, I think, reach people that are really needing maybe another set of eyes or a unique way of approaching all of this. And you had asked too about innovation, like what else is out there. I think something else that popped in my mind is the Violet camera. This is a device that takes a picture of an egg. And as the egg whisperer, you, I know, are obsessed with this concept of just egg health and how do we help make that ingredient as strong and as healthy as possible and then understand it. So the Violet camera, which is Future Fertility, is the company out of Canada, and Dan Nayat's brainchild, takes a picture of an egg and it can tell you how likely is that egg to result in a good embryo that could make a beautiful baby. And it uses also artificial intelligence and technology to create an algorithm. And it's pretty cool. So I think what you and I and many others feel very passionate about is that we can't practice medicine like it's 1990 or 2000. We must stand on the shoulders of giants. And it can be scary, and those are things where you're trying new things, but we have to continue to move that mark forward.
Yeah, I love you. I love everything that you're doing, and I imagine that
Love you.
as a woman, it hasn't always been easy in quite a male-dominated world, and you would never know looking at you that you had any challenges. So I applaud you for just being so fierce and being a revolutionary.
You are so kind. Really, it's the master is the one I'm talking to is Amy, and you do it beautifully. And I think we were talking with one of my friends today, just that, some of this has to be intentional, and we love working with amazing women and fantastic men. And really it's about the person, but also being thoughtful that we do give opportunity to those that sometimes you kind of overlook. And we were just saying that as I run the Midwest Reproductive Symposium International, and it's a fertility meeting that's held in Chicago, but it has a global audience. And just being thoughtful to include young, vibrant women that are coming into the field and men, and not just include people that speak at every program, but that same concept of the opportunities we got to, and people that took a chance on us, and putting that hand down and helping someone. So giving forward, I think, is really important.
I agree. And you're certainly doing that with all the training programs that you're a part of, all the educating you're doing. So thank you. Well, thank you for being on the show, Angie. I really appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to add?
I think the one thing is that when you're trying to get pregnant, if you stumble upon things, listen to some of the things that Dr. Amy is doing. And that is, don't stop. Like, once you have one obstacle, you can think outside the box. If the regular things don't work, which we call evidence-based medicine, then we have to think about tier 2 and 3 and 4 and innovation. And by definition, innovation means there's not all the evidence yet because it's new. And we have to be thoughtful and safe and transparent, but also continue to push the envelope, because this is your time to get pregnant. This is your time to freeze your eggs. And so I think we have to be your cheerleader and encourage you to not give up, but also to be really thoughtful, because it takes medicine and science, and then, of course, that miracle of life. So thank you for having me. Super excited that I got this, like, chance to be with you. It's like not with a superstar.
Thanks, Angie. I feel the exact same way about you.
Thank you. Well, have a great day, everybody.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you so much for listening and making the Egg Whisperer Show a part of your weekly routine. To find show notes and a full transcript for this episode, visit dramy.org and look under the blog tab. While you're there, you can find a link for the Egg Whisperer newsletter, which keeps you in the know about fertility news. You can also find Dr. Amy and the Egg Whisperer Show on YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook. If you'd like to learn even more, Dr. Amy offers classes at the Egg Whisperer School, eggwhispererschool.com, or you can request a consultation on dramy.org. Thank you so much for tuning in and for sharing the Egg Whisperer Show with others. Keep sparkling and have a great day.